It was a cold, rainy evening before Valentine's Day, a perfect time for the loneliest people to come out of hiding. Jennifer Robbins writes her email to tell Derek that she's flying to New York, and that she wants to talk to him there. She doesn't send it, closes her computer, and prepares to go home, then rides the elevator. On a lower floor, the elevator opens up and a man named Guy carrying a wine bottle enters. He's polite and well-mannered and makes small talk with Jennifer. He notices an image etched on the wall of a guy taped inside an elevator when suddenly the elevator stops. Concerned, Guy tries the call and alarm button, but nothing happens. Jennifer claims it couldn't have been an electrical issue since the screen on the elevator is still working. The two realize that their phones aren't working since they're 4 stories underground, so Guy suggests they just wait for a little bit. Guy asks Jennifer some questions and learns that she's an accountant for Color and Stanwich, so he shares that he works for Fegan Hartman as a newcomer. Wary of the stranger, Jennifer doesn't keep the conversation going. Guy asks if this happens often with the elevator, but Jennifer claims that though it does make noises, it works perfectly fine. After waiting for 15 minutes, the two become impatient and scream for help. Outside, however, they're barely making a sound. Guy comes up with an idea to try and open the exit through the ceiling, so Jennifer suggests he lifts her. She bangs on the ceiling, hurts her hand, and learns that there's no exit. After an hour, Guy tries to lighten the mood, so Jennifer smiles. She feels thirsty, so Guy offers a bottle of water, but Jennifer refuses it. She suggests opening the wine instead, and the two reach for their bags and show each other their corkscrews, making each other laugh. Guy insists to give Jennifer the wine bottle, so she accepts and, in return, offers Guy some kisses. Guy jokingly says it's too forward as Jennifer rolls her eyes and laughs. He takes the kiss as candy. After 4 hours, Jennifer feels like peeing but holds it in embarrassment. As she writhers in discomfort, Guy tries to comfort her, telling her it's not embarrassing and pretty soon he'll have to do it too. Eventually, she's convinced and pees on her empty thermos. Relieved, Jennifer draws a woman in the etched image. Later, while they shoot kiss candy on a makeshift funnel, they conclude that nobody will be looking for them. Jennifer shares that she was supposed to surprise someone who didn't want her to come. She pauses, and Guy looks at her empathetically, reaching for the wine, and opens it. He asks her to sit beside him, and they drink the wine in celebration of not being dead yet. Later, while the two are drawing each other in their notebooks, Guy reveals that he hasn't been completely honest when he told her earlier that he hasn't seen her before. He shares that he's been noticing her before, thinking she's pretty and wants to know her. Jennifer appreciates his honesty. Soon, they show their drawings. Jennifer likes Guy's drawing of her, so she takes a photo of it and tells him she'll use it as a profile picture if they ever get out. Out of boredom, the two start talking about sex, and they record and ask each other about their raunchiest sex experiences. Jen reveals she had sex with her college boyfriend in the library after reading erotic novels, and afterward, she throws the question to Guy, who seems hesitant, so she asks him to make up a story. Guy shares his story about a good-looking coworker who approached him at a work picnic. Guy says the two of them went into his car and she slid her underwear into the glove box. From telling the story, Guy finds himself with an erection and hides it in embarrassment. Jennifer tells him his openness and honesty are cool, so he shoots his shot with her. Jennifer just looks at him, so he approaches her and kisses her. Eventually, they have sex. In the heat of the moment, Guy tells her he could fall in love with her. Jennifer recoils and tells him what happened was just casual and that she loves her ex-fiancé. Guy tries to reason with her, but is shut down by Jennifer, who says after this, they're going to go their separate ways. Guy does end up becoming emotional, and quickly he becomes upset and tells her his name isn't actually Guy and he's not even a newcomer. He reveals he knows her last name and that he actually observes her every single day. Guy shows her videos where he observes her. Jennifer then backs into a corner completely frightened. Guy reveals that because he's a front desk security guard, he has access to all the video cameras and knows who comes and goes into the building. He goes on to say that he planned everything for Jennifer. Heartbroken, Guy turns the key to the elevator and lets Jennifer go. However, out of anger, she tells him she'll call the cops on him, so he turns the key again and grabs her. In the struggle, Jennifer accidentally kicks the key and then hits Guy in the face with her shoe. Guy falls unconscious, so Jennifer approaches her, but suddenly he grabs her by the hair and slams her face to the ground. She falls unconscious. Later, Jennifer wakes up and sees Guys playing with the kisses. He tells her he told the other guards he'll take their shift, and since it's Saturday now, and then a holiday on Monday, nobody's gonna come for them until Tuesday. Guy tells her he'd rather kill her than go back to prison, so Jennifer becomes petrified and claims he kidnapped her. Guy becomes furious and throws Jennifer into the corner. He punches the doors like a madman. After reliving his anger, he opens Jennifer's gifts for Derek. He sees a jacket and wears it. Afterward, he orders and screams at Jen to open the other boxes. She does so and reveals a cigar. Guy then smokes the cigar and tells Jen she wouldn't have gotten Derek back with the gifts. Later, Guy realizes that the ceiling exits are just firmly placed without screws, so he goes up, hits them, and discovers the exit. Guy asks Jennifer to boost him up so he can get them out, but Jennifer disagrees, saying she's lighter. She tells him she's not going to call the cops, and that everything was all just a big misunderstanding. She convinces him. When Jennifer wakes up, Guy gives her directions on where to go. Realizing he can't climb up, Jennifer gives him the finger and climbs the ladder towards the door, leaving a furious Guy. As Jennifer nears the door, Guy ties pieces of clothing together and manages to lasso himself up. Guy then chases after Jennifer as she reaches the door. She pries open the door and screams for help, but Guy jumps, pulls her, and they both fall back down the elevator. Jennifer wakes up, realizing Guy is still unconscious, and makes a fire to trigger the alarm so as to cue the fire department, but Guy wakes up and reaches for her. Jennifer kicks his face and ties his hands. The alarm then goes off, so Guy becomes frustrated and asks her what's next. Jennifer grabs a cigar cutter and threatens to disfigure Guy. He screams and begs. Later, while crying, Guy thanks Jennifer for not disfiguring him. Wanting to assure his imprisonment, she takes a video for evidence and orders him to explain what happened. Guy reveals that his name is actually John Deacons. Jennifer asks why he didn't just ask her out like a normal human being. John explains that she never would give him a chance because he was just a security guard. He reveals that he was actually working for Feigen Harton in the past and had a good reputation. He confesses that the story with the girl was true, however, because of the alcohol, that they got into an accident and the woman was killed. Afterward, John got in prison for 6 months, and when he got out, he couldn't get a job and his savings ran out. So, he finally accepted a role as a security guard. Jennifer cries and asks him why he chose her. So, John tells her it's because he was amazed by her. Later, Eddie, with his girlfriend in tow, enters the empty building and expecting John to give him and his girlfriend access to the roof. Eddie sees the camera monitor for the elevator and tells Jennifer he'll open the door manually since there's a malfunction. John sneakily frees his hands. When Eddie opens the elevator, John grabs Jennifer in the dark. Confused, Eddie gives John keys to activate the elevator, but he tells Eddie that it doesn't work. Eddie climbs up to hell, but realizes what happened, so John holds Eddie and turns the elevator on. Eddie gets cut in half. As Jennifer cries, John hits her with a thermos. Later, John brings Jennifer and puts her in the trunk of his car. John disposes of Eddie's body, changes into his uniform, and goes to the front desk. Eddie's girlfriend approaches him and asks for Eddie. John then tells her Eddie split, and so she leaves. Suddenly, he chases after her with a flashlight as she screams. Soon, he drives to a trashed up and drenches it in gasoline. John talks to Jennifer through the trunk and apologizes, and tells her that maybe in another life they would have been together. As he opens the trunk, he sees Jennifer wide-eyed and unresponsive, so he shrugs and goes back to drenching the trashed up with gasoline. Suddenly, Jennifer appears behind him and hits him with a gasoline jug. As he screams in pain on the ground, Jennifer drives the car, pauses, and decides to reverse it to hit John. He gets inside the trash dump to avoid the impact. And as Jennifer exits the car, looks at him and sees that he's impaled himself in the impact, Jennifer then shows him the cigar, puffs the smoke, and throws it in the gasoline-drenched trash dump, where it will ignite. So, that's the end of the 2019 drama horror fantasy show Into the Dark, Episode 5, Down. Have you ever been stuck in an elevator? What would you do if you were stuck with a complete stranger? Comment your answers down below, and of course, if you enjoyed this recap, then please leave a like for the video and subscribe to our channel, as well as hitting that notification bell so you're always kept up to date with the latest and greatest stuff we put out there. You can also check out our other recap videos here. Until the next time, folks, we'll see you later.